This is Jim Duffy of Refining Fire Chilies, and I'm going to go over some seed germination techniques, transplanting and feeding, and what I do to start my growing when I do it myself. The majority of my plants for my nursery and my growing are started in a professional greenhouse that does professional plant starting for millions and millions of plants every year. They're professionals. That's what they do. I'm a very, very small customer of theirs. When you have people back up trucks to get millions of plants, that's a lot bigger than me. So I'm going to go through this really quick. I did two videos already, a part one and a part two. I will be deleting those from my YouTube because on the first one I still had the flu and I was coughing and clearing my throat a bunch and sniffing back my sinuses, and it just sounds like crap on the video. Somebody made a comment and I'm glad they did, because it just sounds like crap. On the second video, I don't know, I have allergies, I might have been a little congested, I did it a little bit, I just don't like it, so I'm going to redo this video right now and go through everything in one video. So, for seed starting, let's go over that first. I'm using 3 methods of seed starting this year, okay? For myself personally, for some new rare varieties that I want to start that I don't have a lot of seed of. The first thing I'm going to show you is a Park Seed Biodome. It's called the Park Seed Biodome. They come in 60 cell, that's how many areas you can plant, 80 and 120. I recommend the 120. I bought the 80s first. I used this thing years and years ago, decided to go at it again. And basically you're looking at it right here. It's got a clear dome that has vents, so you can let some of the humidity out. 2 styrofoam blocks which hold sponges, okay? And you want to put that on top of a heat mat. Now there's one of a sponge with a sprout in it, just to show you what the sponge looks like. You can put multiple seeds in each sponge if you want to guarantee that you're going to get something to come up instead of 1 seed per sponge. Once you use the sponge, you can't use it again. Think about it. If something doesn't sprout in one of the sponges and you don't get the seed out, and then you put another seed in, then that older seed sprouts, then you won't know what you have. So it's pretty much a one-time deal. If you have enough seeds to plant a couple in each cell. Now I label the blocks, as you can see here, 1B front. So that means row 1 in this block is there, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. And I copy down on a piece of paper a map duplicating this block. Okay? So this way I know it's in every cell. I don't have to label each individual cell. This is an 80 cell one. So the heat mat I'm using for this, I bought on Amazon. That seemed to be cheaper than the Hydro store. Is a VivoSun seedling heat mat. And this is 20-inch by 20 3/4 inch. They're pretty durable. I like these better than the Hydrofarm. I've had Hydrofarm mats go out. So one of these mats will do the Park Seed Biodome, which is at parkseed.com. You can buy the Park Seed Biodome. Your cost of the Biodome, 120 cell one, which I recommend you get, is about $50-something. It comes with the sponges. Replacement sponges for the Biodome are about $20-something. So that's what's going to be your cost every time you decide to reuse it again and again and again. However, I had great germination percentage in it, especially with some rare ricotos, which are hard to come up. They came up in about 10 days to 12 days in the Park Seed Biodome. So that's the first one, okay? On this VivoSun heat mat, you can also fit 2 1020 trays. This is a 1020 tray, an empty one. All it is a reservoir, but 2 of these will fit on one mat, okay? In a 1020 tray, you can put in numerous ways. You can put pots of soil, like these guys here. All these pots of soil are filling up a 1020 tray. That way you can water from the bottom and the roots will suck up the nutrient from the bottom. Avoid keeping the soil too muddy on top, which feeds bacteria, algae, and other stuff. So bottom watering is always best. So this is a reservoir or a basin that will hold your nutrient or your water for either germinating or for your growing later on. And it fits 32 of these plastic pots. These plastic pots are 2.5 by 2.5 inches wide by 3 inch deep, and you can buy a box of 800 of them at Greenhouse Megastore online for about 50-something bucks. You can get them in smaller quantities like 25. Okay? They're designed to be throwaway, but if you wash them, you can use them year after year as long as you don't crack them. These 10-20 trays are the heavy-duty ones. I got these at San Diego Hydroponics. You can get them online, or you can buy them at a store if you live in the San Diego area. Now, Greenhouse Megastore also has 10-20 trays, but they're a little bit more flimsier. So they won't last forever, but if you're careful, you can last them many, many years. Just wash them and don't crack them. Now, inside this 10-20 tray, I want to show you another method of germination. And this is called Mad Roots. It's by Mad Farmer, which is a company that makes stuff for San Diego Hydroponics. And these blocks are almost like soil in texture. Now, I put multiple holes in each block so I can plant multiple seeds for each cell. There's a total of 50 cells, okay? You want to keep these moist. You can add a little water on the bottom, but you don't want to have it like a swamp underneath there and too much moisture be in here. But you don't want these blocks to dry out. If they dry out, your seeds will dry out and you will not have something. Okay? So, you just can poke. They come with one hole in the center, but I usually put another 3 or 4 holes, plant about 4 to 5 seeds per block, and then I keep them watered. I might pour a chamomile tea mixture, which is going to be 1 cup of chamomile tea per 1 quart of water, diluted, and I'll pour that over them. That helps with seed germination and preventing fungal growth. So you want to keep an eye on these blocks, check them every 2 days. You're going to put a clear humidity dome cover over them, which I'm sure you guys have seen the clear covers that you put over seed germination trays. Here's a shorter one. They have ones even shorter. Once you get a majority of your seeds germinated, you don't want to leave the cover on too much when they're in the little cubes, okay? So this is called Mad Roots by Mad Farmer. It's about 15 bucks. That does not include the 10-20 tray. It only includes this guy that holds all the cubes. So this is going to be a throwaway item when you're done. All right? Again, you notice I have on here front number 3. So I'll make a map. That'll be row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starting here from left to right will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I will write that out on a sheet. What's in row 1, what's in row 2, 3, 4, 5, with 5 being closest to my piece of tape, which is the front. And this way I've got a map. I'll make multiple copies of my map, and I will put them away. This way I don't look stupid putting up pictures of plants that nobody can identify, asking what the hell they are because I didn't label my tray properly or my plants properly. Okay? So this is the Mad Farmer Mad Roots. You can get it at San Diego Hydroponics online. Now, here's the third method. This is another 10-20 tray, but in it, sitting in it, and you can buy these at Greenhouse Megastore, is a 128 cell as your planting holes, just to clarify that will fit inside it and almost touches the bottom. So if you have a little water in the bottom in the beginning, it'll keep your plants from drying out. Don't let the plants get too muddy, because when soil gets muddy, you get bacteria and you might have a seed just rot before it even germinates. Again, you want to label. The label on this is on the other side. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 128 cells. Okay. Soil mixtures you can use in a tray like this for soil. Now, they have other different size trays. They have 72 cells, 96 cells, and the less you get, the bigger the hole gets. You even have 288 trays and 512 trays, but they don't all sit inside like this. Keep in mind, when this sits inside, it's sealing more of the heat and warmth in to help your seeds to germinate, okay? So if you go to the cells where you can do 288 or whatever, they're going to kind of rest on top of here, and then you're not going to get the wick up effect. Wicking, like when some moisture gets wicked up into a rope or a candle or something. So this is another 10-20 tray, and you can buy the 128 cell trays. You can get them in bundles, I think of a dozen or 25 at Greenhouse Megastore. They're really cheap. So you can buy yourself a pack of 10-20 trays, buy yourself a pack of the 128 trays, and the only thing is I don't reuse these 128 trays. I throw them out. They're kind of thin. So once I'm done transplanting my plants to the other pots, I'm pretty much done. So soil mixes you can use in your 128 tray. Okay? You can use Ocean Forest by Fox Farm. This is Ocean Forest. It already has some nutrients in it because it's natural and organic. You could use Happy Frog by Fox Farm. You could use Sunshine Growers Mix, and they have a mix, I think it's 3 or 4, which is specifically for germinating. You could use Pro Mix by Premier Horticulture. You could even use Jiffy Seed Starting Soil Mix. Not the Jiffy Plugs, the Jiffy Seed Starting Mix. And then there's a Hoffman Seed Starter Mix you can buy online in a small bag of about 5 or 10 pounds. These are all mixes you can use. You can find them all online. I'm not going to put links up. Just type in on Google the name Hoffman Seed Starter, you'll find it. Okay? A lot of nurseries will carry the Fox Farm products, Sunshine Grower products, or Premier Horticulture, which is Pro Mix products. So those are the mixes you can use in here. Again, I'll put a few seeds per cell to increase my odds of having something come up. Why not? If you've got the extra seeds to spare, why not put extra seeds per cell? If you get extra plants, you can always give them away. And why not have extra plants? If you have extra plants and something dies during transplant, or your cat digs up your plants in the garden, or some rats or rodents come by and munch on your plants, you've got some backup plants to put in and your season is still ready to go. So why not plant extra seeds? Okay? So, Park Seed Biodome at parkseed.com, Mad Farmer Grow Cubes at San Diego Hydroponics.com, accessories like 1020 trays, 128 cell planting things, and the 2.5 by 2.5 by 3-inch deep pots, Greenhouse Megastore online. You guys with me? All right. Now, what I do is I don't wait for my plants to grow a whole bunch of leaves in these sponges or these cubes or even in the soil. Once the plants are up, I gently remove them with a butter knife or something, trying to keep things intact. And then I take on the task of separating the seedling from the sponge or cube. Now, I've already done this. I kind of split the sponge apart and gently removed the seedling. This is fragile as hell. It looks like it is not going to make it. Probably would scare you guys to have something like this. Now, if a little bit of this root stuff sticks to the plant, I'll leave it. I won't try to pull all of it off so I just have a bare root. I'll leave a little bit of it. Now, on the Mad Farmer cubes, they pretty much kind of like break off pretty easy. So if you're careful, you can separate most of this from your seedlings. But if a little bit of a chunk of this sticks to your plant, leave it on there. Because the more you mess with it, the more chance you have of breaking this fragile seedling. Okay? Then I have my pot ready to receive with a hole. I take a big fat marker and poke a hole all the way to the bottom. And I add a little pinch of Extreme Gardening Granular Mycos. Mycorrhiza is a fungi that helps in root development, plant immunity, and development of roots. So I can buy this at hydroponic stores or online, Amazon, eBay, whatever, you can find it. Extreme Gardening Mycos. I prefer the granular other than the powder because the powder, the wettable powder, sticks to everything and you end up wasting a bunch. The granular is granular. I'll show you what the granular looks like. This is what I use. This is the granular, Extreme Gardening. So I just put a pinch in the hole. Just this much. Just a pinch, okay? Then I take my seedling gently and I put it as deep as I possibly can, and then I pack the soil around it. Now that's what it looks like when it's done. Then I come over here out into my garage. My garage is where my stuff is going to grow and develop. I'll germinate in my house because the house is warmer. And I'll put all these pots in a 1020 tray and I'll cover it with a humidity dome cover. Now I might cover it with the shorter cover to keep a little bit more heat and moisture in there, but just for the first 3 or 4 days, because I want those roots to root out and develop a plant. But then I quickly move to a bigger dome cover so there's more air in there for the plants and not super humidity. You get too much humidity And what happens is the plants will rot out. So I put those seedlings in there, put them on the heat mats, and I leave them on the heat mats for about a week or so to develop. A week or two to develop. Once they're developed, I will move them off the heat mats, especially if they're capsicum annuum. Because if they're capsicum annuum, like jalapenos, bell peppers, sweet peppers, they tend to grow tall fast. If they grow tall too fast, they get too leggy. So I'll move them over here to this table. I'll leave the humidity cover on and vent it for a few days. Because if I go from a humid environment to a dry environment, which it is in San Diego, instantly, come off heat mats to no heat mats, instantly, the plant will shock a little bit, and some of the leaves will get wrinkly and even get a little bit of leaf burn, like you see there. So when I move them off the heat mat, I leave the humidity cover on for a day or two or three, and then I remove it, and then we have this. The lighting I use is a T5 fixture, 8 bulbs. You can buy these at Greenhouse Megastore online or some of your hydroponic shops. This one's roughly about $200. It's an investment. It lasts a long time. Now, I have my light cycle on 8 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock in the morning. Why do I do that? These are fluorescent bulbs, and even though there's no heat mat here, and even though this garage could get down into the low 50s or mid 40s at night, when's the coldest time? From 8 to 10 a.m. So for 14 hours, this light fluorescent bulb fixture is keeping my plants nice and warm. Not hot, but warm. Probably about 60 degrees in this area. That's why I won't switch to LED lights. LED lights don't give off heat. LED lights will save me electricity. But the electricity savings, if you're just growing to start seeds and baby plants, you won't realize it for 40 or 50 years. So forget about the electricity savings unless you're an indoor grower and you've got lights on 12 months of the year. So forget about that. And they give a little more light intensity, but trust me, T5 fluorescent bulbs are adequate with a reflector light fixture, which this is. So they keep my plants warm. They give it plenty of light. So they're doing the job. So what I want to show you is back on January 1st, I shot a video of me transplanting this stuff. This is the video I'm going to replace because I was coughing, blowing my nose, whatever, and it sounded gross. And this video is going to replace 2 videos. I'll be done here in a few minutes. What you see here was the size of the plants I transplanted back on January 1st. That's what they are. In ocean forest soil with extreme gardening mycos, and then I fed it bat guano tea. Now, how do you make bat guano tea? I buy Roots Organics, nitro bat guano, and I take about 1 cup of the powder, and I put it in a Home Depot net straining bag, and I let it soak forever. At least a couple days if you're going to use it, at least 48 hours. I use these cheese bowl containers, but you can use like a 2-gallon container, whatever sealed container you want. You want it sealed though, okay? And I might even dilute that tea by half, and that's what I feed my seedlings, and I pour it into the tray like every 2 weeks in the bottom. So, with ocean forest soil, with a little bit of bat guano tea, no other nutrients, and the mycos in the hole, what you are seeing on this table here are the transplants that were done January 1st. Now, they're all capsicum annuum, so they grow taller faster. The capsicum chinense, like your super hots and your habaneros, grow slower. So you can actually leave those on the heat mat a little bit longer in the beginning when the seedlings are on there because they won't like shoot up and get leggy. Now, what I mean by get leggy is like this. Do you see these, how they're leggy and they're falling over? They need some staking. Had they been off the heat mats probably 4 or 5 days earlier, they'd have a thicker stalk and they'd be better. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. I can put some stakes in them. So, Park Seed Biodome, Mad Farmer, Mad Roots blocks, or a 1020 tray with a 128 cell thing for soil. Put them on the heat mats. You're ready to go. I just went through everything I do. So I covered everything that was in video 1 and in video 2. without repeating myself too much. Again, we do the germination, we get the seedlings planted, we get them on heat mats with dome covers for a few weeks. Then we transition over to here to lighting without heat mats, keeping it covered so the plants don't get a burn or a shock. Then we move from here. After a week or two, they've only been out here a few days. When the sun comes up in the when the sun moves to the afternoon sun, these guys will get partial sun. I'm not getting any leaf burn on them. One more thing. These are getting indirect sunlight. You see they're in my garage a bit. So indirect sunlight is conditioning these guys to get used to the sun. Otherwise, your leaves will fry. There's other things you can do, like carry your plants physically out into the sun for an hour a day, and then 2 hours a day, then 4 hours a day. Get them acclimated to the outdoor air, and then eventually leave them out. And then eventually transplant them into bigger pots. The other thing you can do is, you can buy shade cloth really cheap at Greenhouse Megastore online, and get 30 to 50% grade shade cloth, stick some poles in the ground, hang up that shade cloth between those poles, and make a transition area for your plants to go from the lighting under the shade cloth, and then from the shade cloth, once they acclimate to some of the sunshine, filtered sunshine, then put them outside where you're regularly going to grow. And then you won't get sunburned plants, and your plants will be hardened off. One more thing. These taller plastic domes, I could not find at San Diego Hydroponics. There's another website that has growing supplies for hydroponics and growing, lights, plant stakes, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to recommend them because their service is great. So I found these bigger domes that you see here that have vents built into them at 1000bulbs.com. That's 1000bulbs.com. So your websites you need to remember are Park Seed for the Biodome, if you want to buy that, with the sponges. Greenhouse Megastore for lighting, shade cloth, pots, growing supplies. San Diego Hydroponics for nutrients and the Mad Roots growing blocks. Also, all kinds of stuff. And if you live in San Diego, the San Diego area, and you go to San Diego Hydroponics physically, especially at the Lakeside store, and you mention my name, you'll get an additional discount. Just tell them Refining Fire Chili sent you. This is Jim Duffy. My website is www.superhotchilies.com, and chilies is spelled C-H-I-L-E-S. No double L, no I-E-S, no I-S. C-H-I-L-E-S. www.superhotchilies.com. My business is Refining Fire Chilies. I can answer questions for you guys on the weekends. Weekdays are not good for me because I still work a day job. I hope I was conscientious enough not to cough or sniff back on my nose during this video. If I did a little bit, I apologize, but I don't think I did, which ruined the other videos. So, again, we went from this little seedling to this in about 5 weeks' time, using nothing but the Mycos, the ocean forest soil, and bat guano tea. All right, you guys? You take care of yourselves. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you later. I'll be posting this up today.